Welcome back to the Visionular Podcast. My name is David Lee, the SVP of Sales and Solutions for Visionular. I know it's been a while since we actually put out a podcast, a few months, but we thought we'd kind of get back together post NAB and kind of have a discussion about the trends, discussions we had, and what we're excited about for next year. So, Zoe and Krishna, do you want to do a quick introduction before we get started with the questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Zoe Liu from Visionular. I'm the co-founder and CEO. And it's great to actually get back to our podcast and talk about especially a reflection of the NAB just happened last month.
Hey everyone, I'm Krishna. I'm the VP of Product. And like Zoe said, it's a good time to reflect back on what happened at NAB and also give you our thoughts for the future.
Thinking about NAB, I would love to get from you guys your take on just like one thing that stood out to you overall with NAB 2025. Now we're kind of, 3 or 4 weeks post-show.
Well, for NAB, I basically, especially for our team, because this NAB is the second year that we have a booth of our own. Last year was the first, because our team is very distributed. So we have a team here even across the US. We have West Coast and East Coast, and then we have new members from the middle part. And then we have a team from Bangalore, India, London, of the UK. So the NAB is actually as a big party for our team member, and then together in this place, and especially in this place that everybody and talking about media technologies. So it's a great event, especially for our team building, and then let the team feel some team pride in this event.
What about you, Krishna? What do you think were the standout things for NAB for you?
I would characterize it as quality over quantity. Reflecting back to last year's NAB, we had a lot of walk-ins, we had a lot of traffic in our booth. But if I look at the statistics of post-show conversations versus the number of people who actually walked in, the ratio wasn't really good. But if you compare that to what's happened this year, people actually came to our booth well-researched. They knew who we were. They understood what products we build. They came to us with pain points. And the conversations were very productive and aimed at actually solving a problem, solving their pain points. And most of the conversations, as I remember, and as evidence proves, have had very solid next steps. Either a conversation post NAB, starting trials. Another thing which also stood out was there were a lot of conversations which led to product discovery, uncovering pain points which weren't there in the initial conversations. So this to me was a very productive and fruitful NAB.
I think I would agree with you. My point was going to be somewhat similar to that. I think we maybe had fewer people like walk into our booth, but the people that came with problems. They came with problem statements of things that they're dealing with in production that were challenges for them. Whereas last year it was kind of like, hey, what do you guys do? Yeah, let's have a chat. Okay, bye. See you later. This was actually on the ground, like, hey, I got a problem. Let's chat. To the point like this conversations were much sharper, I think, this year. Which I think was interesting because obviously the halls kind of changed over the years. This year with the construction, obviously we were kind of spread farther apart. So it'll be interesting to see how the footfall compares next year, to this year based on the changes that the show organizers are implementing right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on maybe to our next segment then. What do we hear at the booth? Krishna, I'll flip it around. I'll go to you first. What were the conversations like? What were we hearing about trends and problems, as we just mentioned, from people that we talked to?
Yes. So unless the whole world has been really living under a rock, most conversations were about AI. What was really interesting is seeing how actual problems are being solved by AI. It's not using an LLM to hack and put something together. We had enterprises in NAB solving real problems and showing validation of them in production. The way I looked at the trends were there are problems being solved on the device side, like personalization, search, discovery, trailer creation, artwork, all of that. There were people trying to solve problems in QoE, QoS, analytics, understanding CDN switching at a better level using AI. I think where we stood out and where we received a lot of validation is the way we use AI to solve fundamental video delivery problems by attacking the actual pixels itself, compressing videos to make them look better, reduce latency, reduce buffering, improve quality of experience. And also, we received a lot of encouragement on our allied problems around delivery. For example, the way we have been tackling super resolution, frame rate up conversion, few other problems which are very impactful, but probably behind the scenes and not as flashy as other things. These are the clear trends: cost cutting, and how to use AI to become more efficient.
Yeah, that's great. Zoe, what do you think? What were your takeaways from the conversations we had at the booth?
I would always say that with this kind of in-person event, there's never substitute for the live interaction. I think like Krishna just mentioned, everybody, of course, nowadays talk about AI, and there's no exception at NAB. I would say this event, especially it focuses on media entertainment and the sector of live sports and a lot of sports. So we actually directly collect the very valuable feedback. And then you see it's real. It's just, I think Kristen mentioned, it's either through the pre-scheduled meetings, because we have a booth down there, or just the very spontaneous booth visit, where you just go down the hallway and see the booths of all the others, seeing the demos, talking with them, the engineers, decision makers. Is actually you collect the direct feedback and you see it's real. And then for our team, as you mentioned, this is the second year we got the booth. And our team has been doing the AI-driven compressions. And in addition that, this year, beyond the compression, we actually present a suite of other AI processing, quality assessment, and enhancement, and streaming solutions down there. And as I just mentioned, we collect the feedback, and then regarding is really help us to understand whether the strategies, the product direction that we have decided are really valuable. And then we see it is valuable. I would add one more layer to this because lots of things we have been doing, like a video quality assessment, is nothing new in this sector. Because I still remember back to 2005, I was actually attending the standard conference still ongoing, the standard called Video Quality Expert Group. That was back in Phoenix, hosted by Intel in 2005. So nowadays, it's actually 20 years later, we actually roll out this. And for our team, I would say, in some way, we make AI work. We actually leverage the AI-driven technologies and algorithms to our video quality assessor product. We just may be doing a lot of incremental improvement, but this is leading into the final breakthrough. Then we out there and talk about this with whoever pass by, with the friends, colleagues, peers, customers down there. And then from their feedback, we say, okay, this is something indeed valuable. So that's why we see the feedback is really direct channel for us to learn what we have done is right or wrong, what we should do for the next. In addition to that, I want to say that for this event, like I mentioned, it's just a lot of small, maybe meetings that we took with this. We see quality feedback. In addition to the main event, there's also a lot of like on the evening events beyond that. So I would say, for example, Colin Harris party. It has been there. I attended the first time I was there back in 2019. And then again, after 6 years, I went there and I see that we still see the familiar faces. It's quite informal, but then you can actually have a lot of in-depth discussions, especially in that kind of personal event. But everybody come with a similar background, a similar interest. We also attend like a GCP event, the Max Social Night. So those events come all together, again, give us the feedback and then really just motivated us and then make us has even clearer target for the right coming year. So that's the value we see that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, there's nothing you can never substitute in-person conversations with your peers, prospects, existing customers to kind of understand the trends and analysis. And I think from my side, there were two main things I wanted to cover for this point. Was really we seem to start seeing kind of a weight on the scale shifting between CPU and GPU. Up until now, or within the last year, a lot of our solutions have been very much focused on CPU encoding efficiency. But now, with the advent and the proliferation of GPUs everywhere, it's actually coming to fruition. So, about last year, obviously, we started a partnership with NVIDIA to create GPU-driven video encoders and video enhancement tools. We're actually seeing a lot more uptick in traction and willingness to use those because of the proliferation of GPUs from our customers. So I thought that was kind of an interesting trend. Whereas beforehand, we were kind of bound by everything within CPU, but now we have a much larger set of compute that's available to us from our product perspective, and we're seeing a lot of uptick and I lost my train of thought there. A lot of uptick and basically like questions and interest from our customers in taking those products and POCing them in their environments. The other thing I would say is that you would think that from a live sports perspective, a lot of these challenges have been solved, but we saw a lot of interest in our products related to live sports. So that was kind of surprising to me because you think that we've been streaming live sports now for 15, 20 years at this point, but there are still challenges around that. Whether or not that's taking a broadcast production at 25 frames per second and upscaling it to 50 so it actually looks better and you can see the ball trekking across the screen, or actually doing something like performing color tone mapping or SDR to HDR conversion so that things like look better on the output. So we had a lot of interesting questions and discussions around that in an area that I thought was kind of like somewhat solved in some ways, but there seems to be a lot of opportunity in that area. So moving on now to our last segment, I want to have everyone's opinion on, Zoe, you mentioned before why NAB is important, your thoughts on it, and what we're doing kind of towards 2025/2026, next year's show. Krishna, do you want to start?
For me, NAB is always exciting and important because, like I told you the other day, to me, it's like the CES of the VO world, where you see the latest innovations. Product teams across the world plan their roadmaps so that they can release stuff around NAB. So you can actually see what problems people are working on, what your competitors are working on, your friends in the industry are talking about. So to me, NAB is like a melting pot of technologies, products, business ideas, and like Zoe mentioned, very good interactions. On a personal product level, it is a lot of validation on our roadmap, what we've been working on, and also gives us a lot of ideas to think about for the next few months and discover problems that are not yet solved or we haven't heard of. That's why NAB for me is important, and that makes 2026 even more exciting for us.
What do you think, Zoe?
I really agree with, I think, what we discussed down here. And then talking back to AI, because NAB has to actually, you can see everybody show some AI elements in their booth. When we talk about it, everybody was just wondering what AI has brought to this sector. And then, of course, we're also wondering whether AI would ever replace our jobs or make our lives worse or better. And then talking about, especially with NAB, because it's all about media. And I do see there's a lot of exciting things that happen down there. And people, I think, especially for AI, for our sector, it doesn't have to be, and then the large language models, the big things that happens, that has to leverage a lot of, for example, GPU infrastructure and compute resource. Indeed, we see that we proactively, so everybody try to get these AIs to make just through the engineering work to make it work, to make it into the product and really serve the end users. For example, like we just mentioned, when we talk about the video, people want to actually enjoy the best possible, like what we're doing. And then why they make work? First is you have to make especially low latency, so that make this video conferencing or video online like seminars interactive. And then the second one is a lot of people talk about like how we improve the HDRs because that actually bring more color and more vivid scenes down there. And then we all talk about how to make low latency robust and at the same time really make video work on all kinds of different devices, especially some devices could be lean and it could also be anywhere around the world. So when we actually learned about all this technology, we see the product down there, how to like make things happen. And then there's an algorithm part, like we are part of it. Nothing new down there, but we make it better. And then also the big volume. Originally, we talk about the CPU base, like David mentioned, x86 now, and then people talk more the ARM, and then now we also have a GPU based. So all of this just try to make the technology work. It's not new, but it make work. On the other side, the neural networks, the deep learnings, sometimes they do not have to leverage the big info. You don't have to have, you have the like a lot of resources that you make AI work. The AI can be work we see in the books that somebody put into the small chipset. And then like what we ask, we can actually implement very lean neural network. You can just sometimes even one layer of the neural network, one middle layer with 100 to 200 nodes, you make the algorithm adaptive. And then that where AI can be actually leveraged even in a very edge devices or mobile device and with the very like set-top box. So that's where I would say that you make AI work is through the engineering, through the innovative algorithms, then all these incremental small things finally gave us all an edge. That's where I see this kind of event. It make things real. You make things happen, then you see AI is really not just people will think. And then you can really put into the every element of the work that you're working on daily basis. And then you make it happen to serve all these users of the videos everywhere and in every segment. So I think that's again back to this live interaction. You see something is happen, you got like inspired and then really just make a good, at least practical, but also aggressive strategy for the upcoming year. That's how we actually take away from this event. We're definitely looking forward to the next year's event.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's you can't say it enough about how inspiring and how kind of personal the event is. I think from my perspective, it did seem like AI, this was the year of implementation and productization of AI. And I think, well, it's going to be really interesting to see over the next year, as you mentioned, Zoe, in roadmaps, how people take all those big dreams or like the chat GPTs and actually pare them down to actually implementable projects that can be taken into production by customers. It's not all these large language models, as you mentioned. So, and
Well,
from my perspective,
yeah,
go
that's
ahead, sorry.
what I meant. It's
Right.
just, as we said, we make AI work. It's not just talking about it. It's happening. It actually does influence every corner of the things we have been doing. And it benefits every corner of the world. And because we really want to deliver, for example, all of us working on video, right? We want to actually deliver the best possible quality and experiences to the end users.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is really the takeaway from why NAB is important to me. Personally, it's like we're all striving, everybody in this industry is striving towards delivering better video to people so they can have a better video experience, right? You could sum up the whole show in that matter, whether it's capture, broadcast, digitization, enhancement, streaming, whatever it is, it's all about delivering video in a better format, in a better way to our viewers. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Stay tuned for more conversations about video tech and video compression for Visionular.